Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
Today we are back at it with the Odyssey review, episode 74, Isaac the Insecure.
Yes, this is the 86th episode of Adventures in Odyssey. But that's weird because there's no episode 85. Here on the club, it goes 84, 86. If you search in the search bar, 85, nothing comes up. So I don't know what's going on here. I think there's a few other times in their counting that this happens. And if there's any explanation for it, somebody should let us know what it is.
It's a mysterious mystery.
Yeah, they could tell us, but then they'd have to kill us. And I don't want to die.
I don't want to die!
Yeah. But anyway, yes, this is the 85th or 86th episode of Adventures in Odyssey, depending how you want to count, but we're going to have to stick with 86 or the numbers are going to get weird. But it originally aired on September 23rd, 1989. This is a 4-week break since the battle, but that feels pretty fitting, I think, to have a breather
We just had
there.
to recover.
We had to recover, yeah. And this is a part of album 7, which is ice fishing, or no, on thin ice. I don't know why I typed ice fishing, but that's not the name of the album. That's just the title episode, or the cover episode, sorry. But anyway, I'm not sure why we're jumping into album 7 here, because we haven't even fully started album 6, but do with that what you will. And in this episode, young Isaac Morton doubts himself when he is assigned to report with the much more popular Jack Davis. And our themes in this episode are friendship and overcoming insecurity.
Indeed.
Do you have some feelings you just need to get out?
Right?
Yeah, it is. Then, do you have some feelings we need to get out there before we get started?
Well, I just don't really like Isaac, okay? You know, I feel like I might have brought that up previously. He's just not my favorite Odyssey kid. Definitely one of my least favorite Odyssey kids. He comes across a little bit whiny. I feel like he never really solves his own problems. At least not without some help. Like, you know, later in this episode, Lucy has a line where she's like, I think you're just overreacting. I relate to Lucy there. He just overreacts all the time.
See, I think this just goes to show that everyone is going to have their own opinions on Odyssey, and we don't really have to justify them to each other. Because I kind of like Isaac, and there's definitely other kids that I think are whiny that I don't like.
Yeah, but see, I also think there's just too many Isaac the blank episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it is a choice, because I don't want to say all, but I think all of his episodes are Isaac the whatever episodes, and they kind of made this little series out of it. And it is weird, because no other kid in Odyssey has their own series. So it is a bit unique. But I'd be curious to see, because I was thinking about it as we're recording. You say he's whiny and he never really solves his own problems. I think we're going to see if this is a theme, because it happens here, and I can think of at least one other episode where it happens, which is not an Isaac the episode, so that completely rules out what I already said. I think he solves his own problems by solving his problems for somebody else. Because in this episode...
Okay, yeah.
In this episode, he's going to work through his own problem by working through the same problem for Jack. And in Missing Persons, he himself isn't necessarily having a problem, but he works through Rodney's problem with his own personal experience. So I want to kind of see how this plays out as we continue to see Isaac, but I think he solves a lot of his own problems by working through them in somebody else's life as well.
I kind of just feel like he just makes kind of dumb decisions sometimes, like kind of along the lines of like the episode where Sam Johnson is trying to get into trouble just because Rusty told him he can't get into trouble. I feel like that's the line of thinking Isaac gets on sometimes, where it's like, I'm not popular like Jack Davis, so I must be the most boring, average, uncoordinated kid of all time. Like, he just goes too far the other way. Like, his line of thinking, or like when he thinks he needs to join the Bones of Wrath, or when he thinks that there's nothing he can do to make himself do things, so he just gives up on trying to meet deadlines.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
like his thought process in it.
Personally, I think I maybe find that a little relatable, and I'm sure there's other kids who hear these episodes who find Isaac's struggles
Okay,
relatable,
the procrastinating one is kind of relatable, I will say, but like in general, I don't know. He's just not my favorite.
and that's fine. I have I have strong opinions about the ones I don't like, and I don't have super strong reasons why I don't like them. I just strongly dislike them. So we will get there, and that's okay.
Yeah. But let's hop into this episode because I have an un-Isaac related question slash realization in this first opening scene.
Okay.
Isaac is at soccer tryouts, obviously struggling because Coach Zachary calls him over and asks him which direction he's going because he's apparently going the wrong direction and essentially cuts him from the team, even though, he wouldn't say cut. That's what you call a very harsh word. But he cuts him from the team. And then Lucy asks him what's going on, and he told her that he was cut, which is all fine. And then I get to the part that I kind of forget sometimes. Lucy was playing soccer. Since when is Lucy an athlete?
Yeah, well, she was trying out for soccer anyway. We don't know if she made the team either. So,
She was clearly better than Isaac.
well, that's true. Yeah, I do find it a bit weird. And I would be inclined to say we don't necessarily know she's on the tryouts except for Coach Zachary calls her back over because
Right.
it almost could seem like she was just observing tryouts or something. But
Well, that's what I was thinking,
yeah,
but then he does call her back to the tryout.
yeah,
Um,
it is a bit weird,
I
I
mean,
think.
this is the same Lucy who's a reporter instead of doing PE class.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe she's going through an interesting stage in life right now, as we know. So maybe she was just trying out new things.
Maybe. Have we got to that episode yet? The
No,
getting out of.
because that's a Kurt
Is that
episode, and
okay?
we haven't met Kurt yet.
Oh, that is Kurt. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking Jack, but that is
Well,
Kurt.
it's because it's Oscar. Oscar kind of floats around on who his buddies are. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a Kurt and Oscar.
Because let me tell you, speaking of strong feelings, I have strong feelings about the Odyssey Phys Ed program.
Yeah,
But anyway,
and that
not
will
that's
involve
neither
Isaac
here nor
as well.
there. It will.
Yeah, in the one where he tries to join the Bones of Wrath.
Oh, you meant Phys Ed. I thought you meant that episode. I'm like, I don't think Isaac's
No,
in that
no,
episode.
no, visit.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yes. So then later, we are in math class, and it's unclear whether it's the same day. You would think soccer tryouts would be after school, but the way Lucy said it, she said she would see him in math class makes it seem like it's still the same day.
Yeah, maybe they're before school. Like they had to get to school early to do tryouts. Maybe they do them before school. It's cooler. I don't know. Or maybe there's like a period, kind of like our school had a club hour period for a period of time, or just kind of like was used for random activities.
Yeah,
So
that could
maybe
be that.
something like that.
But yeah, so they're in class. It's math class. Isaac did a problem on the board, did it well. Then Jack gets called up, and he struggles, can't figure out the problem. His teacher says, "Is that the value you want for A?" He's like, "I don't know. Is it? I don't think so." Well, what do you think it should be? And
Yeah.
then he goes on to draw up a new soccer player on the board. Soccer play, not player.
I don't know if we established in the soccer scene, but Jack is the captain of the soccer team, and he was involved in soccer
Yeah,
tryouts.
I don't think it was established. But Coach Zachary does like, hey, Jack, gather everyone up. So you kind of get that like impression, but I
Yeah.
don't think they say it.
Yeah. I feel like this
Then after
episode,
class,
maybe this is a thought for the end of the episode, but this episode feels weird as far as Jack goes to me. And maybe it's just because he's not the main character in this episode, and I think it's the first time Jack is in an episode where we're not at it from Jack's perspective ever.
good business.
And I don't know. Well, I guess that's true too. I don't know. It feels weird to me. Like, I guess, or maybe it's just because we're seeing Jack through Isaac's eyes, because the persona that we see of Jack in this episode is not how I see Jack. Certainly not up till this point. I don't know how I see him after.
I
but
do
this,
know what
like,
you mean, though, because I was thinking
This too
and,
cool for
like, I
school
agree.
kind of vibe. Like, I don't remember ever getting that from Jack before.
Right. I agree with that because I was even thinking earlier, it's like we've had Jack before, and you don't ever get the impression that he's like this ultra popular kid that everybody's
No.
like, oh, he's so cool. He's
Yeah.
just
Maybe it's because
another
we've never
kid.
seen him in the school setting before. We've only ever seen him like at Wits End or in summer adventuring. And again,
That's
like I said,
right.
maybe it's because we're seeing him more from Isaac's perspective than as himself. But I don't know.
That could be.
But
Yeah.
also, as we're going to see, Isaac's perspective on him isn't necessarily true to how Jack feels about himself, or even really how Lucy sees him. So it could just
Hmm.
be that we're seeing Jack through Isaac's eyes. That's why it feels weird.
Yeah. And so after math class, Lucy is talking to Isaac, and um, oh man, and she's like, "Oh,
It's
that
worth
was
pointing out
embarrassing."
that this was the end of class. Just putting that out there. It's the end of
Well, yeah,
class.
it's always the end of class.
It's always the end of
Uh,
class.
and it says like, "Well, that was embarrassing," that Jack couldn't do the problem, and Isaac's just like, "No, Jack has nothing to be embarrassed about. He can do no wrong. He is the greatest. He is God's gift to Odyssey Elementary." He doesn't actually say that. That's just what he.
See, you think he's whiny and overdramatic. You're making him more overdramatic than he actually is. That's not what he says.
It's true. But he does also go on to say that compared to them, or that he's not a normal kid. The normal kids like us, him and Lucy, are clumsy, boring, and goofy looking. To which Lucy responds, "Thanks a lot, Isaac."
Yeah. Yeah, I will say he probably does get a bit overdramatic there. Um, he gets a little carried away.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then he
we
also
might
just says that he
also,
wishes he was more like Jack.
yeah. I also kind of want to bring up here a recurring thing, or Lucy is just always friends with the guys. Because it was Lucy and
Mhm.
Jack, and I think this is where we transition to Lucy and Isaac because Jack has transitioned to Oscar. And apparently, we can't pair one kid with more than one other kid at any given time. So Lucy's done with Jack. She's moved on to Isaac. Jack has moved on to Oscar.
I mean, she does say that she's friends with Jack, though.
She does say she's friends with Jack, and there's nothing to imply that she's not. But I don't think she's as close of friends as she used to be because she's moved on to Isaac, apparently.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But anyway, moving on to a new class, which we get
This
at
is
the end
shocking.
of this class as well.
It's the end of class again, but I found it a little surprising that we had two different classes in the same day. That doesn't happen very often, I don't think.
True. It was not the end of the day the first time.
Mm-mm.
But they're in, I assume, English class now since they're doing a project about an author. They don't say what class it is, but I would assume that would be English.
I I
Um,
was referring to it in my notes as English class because I pointed out that Chris is the voice of the English teacher, and I thought that was fun.
I did notice that. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Chris.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's weird. This might be one of the first times she's voiced a real person. Like she's voiced story characters, but I can't think of another time that she's voiced an actual character in a show. You know what
they
I mean?
make it sound like her being herself as the introducer for the show is her
I,
being a fake person.
I mean, like within an episode, like
I know
you
what
know
you
what I'm
meant. I
saying?
just thought it was funny the way you put it.
Yes, Chris is a real person, but a real person within the world of Odyssey that's not a story character.
Yes. But in this English project that they have to do, they are going to have to do projects in pairs that they will present to the class about popular, famous 20th century authors. And Jack and Isaac were paired together. Um, and Jack says it's a bummer, but they'll have to make the best of it.
See, this is where I feel like that's out of character for Jack.
Yeah, I
When,
agree.
other than the fact that we're going to find out that he is insecure around Isaac because he feels like Isaac's way smarter than him, when does Jack ever hide his feelings from the world? Like, I feel like he's usually very vocal about how he's feeling at any given point in time.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I always thought that was weird. It almost would make more sense if he said something different and Isaac just assumed that that's what he meant.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of what goes on through this whole thing. Other than, like, later, Isaac kind of misinterprets what he says, but right here, Jack was just very vague and was like, bummer, didn't elaborate. So there's really,
Yeah,
Isaac may have miscommunicated what he said, but Jack didn't really say enough for it to not be miscommunicated. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, they picked C.S. Lewis, or it seems almost just Isaac picked C.S. Lewis because he's back at home talking to his mom, finding books that they had, and he's telling his mom that he's paired with Jack Davis, who he again describes the amazing Jack Davis down to his perfect teeth.
Yeah,
Um,
this is where I'm like, okay, calm yourself down, Isaac. And even his mom is
well, and his
like,
mom
uh
was like,
huh.
those are rather minor things if you really think about it.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Like if the way Isaac describes Jack a couple times this episode, if there was a Jack Davis fan club in Odyssey, Isaac would be the president of the fan club.
Hmm. Yeah. And Oscar would probably be the only other member because I feel like Oscar does kind of follow around Jack, just like kind of in awe of him. Like, I can't believe I get to be this guy's friend. It's kind of how I feel like Oscar is. So I want to see Oscar and Isaac
Don't you want to
interact.
be a great detective?
I don't
No.
know. But I'm thinking about this just now. Do we
Yes, you
ever
do.
have
Come
Isaac
on.
and Oscar together?
I don't think so.
That would be kind of fun. It would be
They'd,
interesting.
they'd never get anywhere.
I know. Well, that's probably why they're never together is because they're kind of similar in that way, where they are very much followers of other people. Or like,
Because
I mean,
Isaac
Isaac is
is
kind of his own person, but he's
insecure,
not like a
and
strong.
Oscar
Yeah.
is also kind of insecure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would kind of want to see that. We should add this to our list of characters who we think should have episodes together. I think the only other pairing on our list
Definitely goes
is
below
Dale
on
and
the list
George.
of yes.
Dale and,
I still think we need a
Dale and
We
George is
need
at
Dale and
number one,
George.
and then number two is
Hmm.
Isaac and Oscar.
I mean, you could probably put it at like number 15 because if I really thought about it, I could probably think of 13 other ones I'd
Well,
rather have.
for now, well, you just don't like Isaac, but for now, this is our list.
Yeah. But anyway, his mom tried to reassure him that he is not boring, clumsy, whatever it is that he describes himself as. But then he has to rush off to the library. I don't exactly remember what he said to his mom, but essentially, like, he was not really paying attention to what she said.
Yeah, he's
Um,
like, you just don't, or no, he's like, I understand, Mom, and she leaves. She's like, do you though? I don't think you do.
But at the library, Isaac pulled together everything he could find about C.S. Lewis, and you'd apparently been there for a decent amount of time before Jack finally got there, because he says soccer practice ran late. Do you get the impression soccer practice didn't actually run late? Jack was just putting off actually showing up.
Mm, I don't know. I do kind of feel like it's a genuine excuse here. Later on,
Yeah.
Isaac, I think, uses soccer practice, and it's not legit, but I don't know. I kind of felt like it could have been true at this point, but I don't know.
Okay. But anyway, Isaac shows him all the books that he found, and it may be that Isaac may have gone slightly over the top with the books. The way he's describing it, it's like for one project, you might not need every single book that the library has about C.S. Lewis, but
Probably
maybe
not.
they do. I don't know, because it seems like they maybe have like 1 to 2 weeks on this thing.
Yeah. But I mean, also, like, yeah, they probably don't need all the books because how much different information is it going to be from book to book that you
Right.
need for a middle school research paper?
Yeah.
Also, I pointed out in my
Um,
notes, oh, the days of having to read books for research papers. That doesn't happen now. It's just like you go online and you Google C.S. Lewis and you avoid Wikipedia because your teacher told you to. So you probably go to history.com or something like
Wikipedia.
that. Yes. Uh, but yeah, I was like, wow. The 80s. Even, I mean, I when I was in elementary school, maybe we just weren't allowed to, but we weren't regularly using the internet to write research papers. We were still learning how
Yeah.
to look up people in the encyclopedia and write about them that way.
Hmm.
They,
You know,
that
the
might
real
make me
reason they had
sound
to move
old.
on from encyclopedias is because there's too many encyclopedia companies coming up with top secret classified
Yeah,
computer programs.
you just never
Yeah.
know what you're gonna find if you get into the
Right.
encyclopedia world. Yeah,
Yeah. That's the real reason you don't see them around today is because the companies were too
yeah,
dangerous.
yeah.
Um, yes. So Jack suggests that Isaac start the research and that Jack would just pick it up as he goes along because he doesn't want to double the effort. Like if they just look through all the same books and find the same information, that would be pointless.
hmm
So then Jack says like, "Okay, sounds good," and then leaves. So Isaac's just like,
Okay,
"Well, great."
yeah. So pause here. I'm gonna confess I listened to the episode a couple days ago. You just listened to it, so we can get your thoughts here. My impression is Jack never says, "I'm not gonna work on it. You do it by yourself." Do you
No,
think
he just
Isaac?
says no use doubling our effort, and I'll pick up as we go along.
Yeah, we find out later that Jack was still gonna work on it, seemingly as much as Isaac was, and they would just meet up to compare notes. Do you think Jack gave Isaac a false impression of how he was going to go about this project, or Isaac just
The way
misinterpreted
I
things
would have
again?
understood what Jack said is you do the main research, then we'll meet, figure out what we got, and then we'll work together from there. What Jack does is go and do his own research and not talk to Isaac at all.
Yeah. So Isaac's not off base by interpreting that as I'm going to have to do the majority of the work myself.
Right.
Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, we can continue on.
I don't think Jack meant it that way, but the way he said it, it made sense that
Yeah.
Isaac was
There's just a lot of miscommunication going on here, which
thinking if he
again I
never
feel
shows up
like
to work with me, you're right.
yeah, I just feel like it's not consistent with what we know of Jack's character to this point in time. But again, we're gonna find out Jack is dealing with his own
Yeah.
insecurities. So even Lucy points out in like what the next scene, Isaac is talking with Lucy, um, and Lucy's like, "That doesn't sound like Jack," and I'm inclined to agree with Lucy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you said, a week later, Isaac's talking to Lucy that he'd done all the work by himself, and that Jack had basically said he didn't want to work with him, and Lucy says like that doesn't sound like Jack, and Isaac's like, yeah, it probably doesn't sound like Jack. I think I'm the problem. Um,
That
and
is
then the teacher
Isaac
comes and finds him.
inferring things. Like there was some miscommunication. Jack was unclear, but Jack never said, "I don't want to work with you specifically." It was a
Mm-hmm.
at this time, I don't think we need to be working together yet, is kind of what he meant. So Isaac
Right.
did go a bit too far there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then because his teacher comes and finds Isaac and asks for a progress report and asks if Jack is doing work, if soccer's interfering at all, and Isaac's like, he's doing as much as I expected him to do,
Yeah,
trying to get around to the question. But eventually,
yeah.
the teacher pretty much says,
He's trying to be nice and cover for Jack, even though Jack
mm-hmm.
doesn't really need covering for.
And then so basically his teacher directs out that Isaac doesn't think Jack has helped at all. So then after school, Isaac first of all is kind of trying to get away before Jack can find him, and this is where I believe no. Then Jack finds him, tells him that he should have kept his mouth shut because he didn't know what he's talking about. And then after that, Isaac's like, "I'm done for, kaput." I don't remember what else he says. And that's when Lucy finally says, "You're overreacting." Except she doesn't say overreacting. She says, "You're overacting."
Because you're overacting,
Nobody.
not overreacting.
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't catch that, so that's funny. Do you think that the teacher was right to question Isaac about Jack? Like, I feel like
This is what I was wondering. You'd
maybe
almost think Jack would have had to have either a problem before, or maybe he just doesn't like English, or maybe he struggles in English. Because you get the impression throughout the episode that he is good at school. He's just not good at any like presenting or like being in front of people.
Yeah. I feel like if the teacher had legitimate concerns, I feel like it would have been more appropriate for her to address them together and be like, "Hey, is this partnership working out?" Now
Yeah,
could
and
have
also
gone. Isaac could have gone to the teacher because he felt like Jack wasn't doing his share of the work, and so if Isaac didn't like that, it would have been appropriate for him to go to the teacher and share his concerns, and then she could have talked to Jack, or she could have got them together, or she could have followed up with Isaac later. But I don't know that it was right for her to address them individually unless there's a pre-existing concern.
yeah, I'd agree. Part of it, I think, is just for plot. Like they needed the
Well,
teacher
yes,
to question Isaac to set up
yes,
the end of this.
yeah,
Um, but also, she shouldn't have just gone and like called out Jack. She should have talked to Jack individually, apart from a group, and asked him his side of it.
yeah. She also maybe didn't need to say, "I asked Isaac, and Isaac said you're not contributing." She should have been like, "Hey, are you contributing to your group project?" Like she could have left Isaac out of it. Like Jack probably still would have
Yeah,
inferred that Isaac tattled on him, but I don't know. I feel like the teacher was kind of the instigator here. And again, like you said, we needed it for
yeah.
plot reasons. But just at a
Hmm.
looking at it from a this is what happened perspective, I feel like the teacher was a little
Hmm.
wrong here.
Then, but Isaac decides that since he got Jack in trouble, that the only possible way he could think to make it better is just doing the entire rest of the project all by himself, so that all Jack has to do is read it in front of the class. So then he goes to the library to finish it, and he finds out that another kid has two of the books about C.S. Lewis, um, and had described the same report to the librarian that Isaac was doing, which is confusing to Isaac because nobody else is doing the same author as him, and nobody else should probably be doing the same report as him. So he goes and finds the kid, and surprise, surprise, the kid is Jack, who's actually working on the report. And they find out that they both misunderstood what was going on, that they'd both been working on the project, and that Jack had originally planned to call him to compare notes until Isaac got him in trouble, and he blew up at Isaac, and there was misunderstanding, and basically they didn't think they wanted to work with each other. And then Jack tells him that he gets awkward and nervous in front of people, and he's also nervous about being around Isaac because Isaac is smart, and then they realize that they can relate to each other, and they finish the report together.
That was a quick retelling. You just really wanted to get that all out there, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I wanted to get through that.
Yeah, I find it funny as Isaac is walking up to Jack, not knowing it's Jack. He's like, "Man, if this kid is doing the exact same report I am, I'm gonna be really mad. Or maybe I'm just gonna go home and cry." Like he's trying, or like to be all tough guy, but
He
he's like,
said,
"I'm actually not,
he said, unless the kid is bigger than me.
unless the kid is bigger than me, and then I'm gonna go home and cry." Which, yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, this is where I feel like Isaac is working through his own problem by helping somebody else through it, because it's not like he's the one who's like, "Hey, I guess we're both insecure. Maybe we can just work through this together." Like he's the one who initiates that. Jack doesn't come to that conclusion. They don't come to it together. Isaac's like, "Hey, it's okay. We can we
Yeah.
can we can help each other."
Mm-hmm. Yup.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get an A on their project. They become friends. They celebrate.
Yep.
Jack turned out to be a lot like Isaac.
Hmm.
Woohoo.
Isaac
The
tells
end.
all of this to his mom. Is like, "Oh, Jack Davis, the the superhuman." I don't know exactly what she says, but something along those lines. And Isaac's like, "No, Jack Davis, my friend, is a lot like me."
The end.
The end. Yeah.
I don't have any final thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think we hashed through it all. I like Isaac. I find him relatable. Yes, maybe a bit dramatic at times, um, but that's okay that you don't. We will see as we get through all of this if either of us shift at all on our stance on Isaac. If I will find him more problematic, or you will find him any less so. I don't know. Or maybe we'll stay
I
exactly
will
how we
say
are.
There are a few episodes of Isaac that I know of that I don't mind, but
Yeah.
in general, he's just not my favorite.
Yeah. I honestly, I feel like my biggest problem with this episode is I just feel like it feels weird for Jack. And so
Yeah,
I kind of want to see if going forward, if we're just getting an overall shift in Jack's character, or if it's just this episode that is primarily seen from Isaac's perspective that shows him in a different light.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
I think
The only
that
other thing I
about
got to say,
wraps it up.
yeah, like we're primarily, I think now we're gonna kind of shift back to album 6 till we finish it. Don't quote me on that, but the next episode is album 6. But since this is our first episode of album 7, I was looking in the guide, as I try to remember to do, the official AIO guide. And as of the time of publishing the edition of the guide that I have, which is the 25th anniversary edition, I'm not sure if there's later ones, but it doesn't cover everything up till now. I can't remember at what point it's published. But anyway, it says that Ice Fishing is the only album named by fans. They had like a contest.
Interesting.
It said on the online, so I think that's probably a renaming because when it came out, they were on tapes, and a lot of the albums had different names. But at whatever point in time, it got named Ice Fish or On Thin Ice. Sorry, it's the only album named by fans up to the point in time. But the reason I say that is I know at least for like album 80, not 80, 81, which is the first club exclusive album. That's a whole nother story. I think they asked for fan input on that one. And I don't know if there's been other ones over the years that maybe they have, but I think they said they did it by they just sent out the artwork, which if you don't know, it's Tom and Whit ice fishing from the episode Ice Fishing, and somebody came up with the title On Thin Ice. Yeah, fun fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that wraps it up. We thank you for watching and or listening. We had the album 5 tier list out last Friday, so if you didn't have a chance, you can head over to YouTube and watch that. We thank you for watching and or listening to today's podcast.
Our next week's episode will be Elijah, parts 1 and 2 from album 6.
Good deal. Yeah, subscribe wherever the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we will see you next time.
Yep, bye.